Hello, everyone, and welcome to We Built This White Lake. My name is Amy Van Loon. I'm the Executive Director of the White Lake Area Chamber of Commerce, and we are your host and sponsor for We Built This White Lake, which is a series of podcasts. We are interviewing local businesses and organizations in our community, and today we have with us Eric and Trish Schroeder, the owners of Old Channel Inn. Welcome to the both of you.
Thank you.
Great to have you in CatchMark Technology Studios. And so today we are going to hear a little bit about Old Channel Inn. And Eric, I'm going to have you start us off telling us a little bit about the restaurant.
Thank you for doing this, and we appreciate it very much. Old Channel Inn, if you don't know, will be going on 125 years old.
Wow.
Which is an amazing feat in itself for any business to survive that long, especially since it has gone through a history of 2 world wars, the stock market crash, and Prohibition, the Volstead Act, pandemics. Obviously, we survived one recently, but the history of I love history, so I get a little passionate about this, but I love the history of White Lake, but also the history of what we are so heavily invested in, which is our business and the community. And so Old Channel Inn was literally a shed dragged down the dune by the Lloyd family. They added a screen porch to it and served hot dogs and hamburgers and candy to the children and sodas in a Coke cooler, which is still on our property, by the way.
Is that right?
And it was added on to don't quote me on all the dates here, but in the 20s it was added on and expanded.
Okay.
Part of the business was living quarters. And then they added a second floor. And if you think boarding house, it was, 6 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms at the end of the hall, but each room having a wash basin. So it was very much like a boarding house, which is still there. Eventually, we hope to bring those rooms back.
Oh, nice.
As kind of a B&B environment. And the community has asked, please do that. They want the overflow for their cottage, et cetera. But then a fireplace was added. Then the back dining room was added in the 60s, I believe, and our kitchen was expanded. But other than that, it hasn't really changed much in probably the last, since the 60s, probably. Wow. It hasn't had many changes. There's only been 11 owners in its history, 2 of them being the Lloyd family. The original owners were Lloyds, and the Lloyds are still our neighbors, very good neighbors. We're very proud to be part of their community that they started. As they call Lloyd's Landing, was established in 1865, I believe.
Okay.
Could be 1867. But even the history of the ground itself is fascinating from the standpoint there was boarding houses, there was taverns, there was a lumber mill directly across from our property before the bridge that is currently there was put in. And so they would stage lumber in what is now called Sedona Bayou. It wasn't at that time. They would stage the lumber there, and they would mill it, put it on barges, and take it out the old channel, hence the name, which was the natural channel from White River to White Lake to Lake Michigan. And then in 1869, the federal government, they put in the channel as we know it today so that they could get ships in and out of White Lake. It was difficult to do that. They couldn't get in at all. They had to barge everything out, and it was very inefficient. So, but Michigan in general, especially White Lake area, rebuilt Chicago after the Chicago fire. So I think there was 22 mills, if I believe I'm correct, on the White Lake, White Lake area, but on the lake itself. So one being right across from our restaurant.
Okay.
So it's an amazing history in the area, and we're very blessed and pleased to be part of it, and still surviving after all these years, and everything this little little country restaurant,
Yeah.
so to speak. A Lake Michigan restaurant has survived. So,
Well, right back at you. We are blessed and pleased to have you at the helm of Old Channel Inn. Has it always been called Old Channel Inn?
from day one, yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so
It had a ye old Channel Inn at one point. I think that was the original name, was Ye Old, and they kind of dropped that because that was a little,
antiquated, or
it was a little
sure,
antiquated.
yeah.
Yes. It looked good in print, but no, they at some point someone dropped the Ye Old part,
Okay,
so it was
yeah.
just Old Channel Inn.
And man, if those walls could talk, it is an old establishment, old building, and I'm sure you have that love-hate with any kind of old building, right? But it has such character and such beauty, and I'm so pleased to see it preserved.
Yeah, she does demand a lot of my
Oh,
attention of my hammer occasionally. But there's a love relationship there.
Sure.
She deserves to have that love and attention. So,
and such an iconic landmark too in our community. You're right. We see tourists and those visitors that return year after year, and Old Channel Inn has become such a destination in itself, and it almost has to be because of where you are located. It's not like you're just passing by. I mean, you have to almost seek it out, and it's such a lovely drive out there. And when you come around that curve or down the hill,
Yes.
Voila, there it is.
Sweeping view of the lake, and then come down around. It's like Brigadoon.
Yeah,
It just kind of appears.
yes.
So Trish, share with our viewers a little bit about the restaurant as it is today.
As it is today, we are an 88-seat restaurant, full service dining, and a craft cocktail bar. We pride ourselves in using as many fresh, clean ingredients as possible, moving away from preservatives, moving away from packaged. There are a few menu items that are classics that we have to maintain the original recipes for, so we don't mess with those. Those still have the original ingredients. But anything that we introduce is upgraded with clean ingredients, fresh juices for our cocktails, no packaged sauces. Everything is made to order, and sometimes that is what causes a bit of some lag time for food, because everything is being made, as I say, with the hands of love. To order, so we don't have a lot of things that are just sitting and holding.
Interesting.
And holding things. So it is fresh and clean. We want people to feel good when they leave, not only from a good experience standpoint, but from the food and cocktails that they're drinking, that they're not feeling bogged down. And we also, one of the things that we pride ourselves in too is creating an environment. Part of that experience that Eric was talking about is that the environment of we want you to feel like it's your favorite aunt's cottage that you can't wait to get to, and you really don't want to leave.
Oh, yeah.
And so with that, we, as I said, the fresh food and things like that, but also the care that we give to people. And the fact that it's okay, it's fine if you come in shorts. It's fine if you come in with sandy shoes in the summer. In the winter, you can come in your snowmobile suits. We don't care. Just come in and see us.
Sure.
We don't care. You're still going to get a good dining experience, great cocktails, no matter how you're dressed. We do ask that shirts and shoes, of course.
Sure,
because that's
required.
That's our term of fine dining.
Yes.
It's fine if you come in with wet shorts because you just came off the boat.
That's
fine.
great.
That's fine dining.
I like that.
Yeah, it's fine dining, and it's fine to bring your kids. So
Please do.
yes, and so we just want that feeling of once you get there, it's almost like feeling like you're home, and you can relax. We try not to rush you. We also have we have books on our bookshelves that people will actually take off. They're historical books. They're vintage books.
Oh,
People can spend time looking at them while you're waiting for a table. You can color lunch bags that we donate. You can actually with the kids menus, we have we give the kids an assignment. We ask them to do their best coloring work, sign their artwork, and date it. We collect them and then we post them on a wall. And then when they come down, because we cycle them out about every week.
Okay.
When they come down, they go into a 3-ring binder that we keep. We don't get rid of these. So the kids can come back, and if they don't see their picture on the wall, they can go through the books.
That is cool.
And look for them.
I love that
and
idea.
so that's been something kind of fun.
Yeah, it always breaks my heart to see them work so hard at coloring, and then a server just crumples it up and throws it away.
Oh, right.
So I don't allow that. I want them. I keep them all.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So that's fun, and the kids, their eyes light up when they realize that it goes up on a wall and it gets capped, and so it's really kind of fun. One of the things we've also done is we've created an encouragement jar, and so if you need encouragement, you can take one. If you have encouragement to give, you can put one in. So we've had that for probably a good 3. This will be, I think, our third summer doing that.
Yeah.
And it's been really interesting to see what the encouragement comments are. And I do make a point to read all of the comments because sometimes the comments are a little
off color?
inappropriate.
Okay.
So yes, I have to go through them. No, nothing too
I'm
bad,
sure
but
not.
you know, it's humorous to the person putting it in.
Yeah,
But you never know who's going to take it. You know?
True.
So some things I've had to pull out and just set aside.
Yeah.
And we get the enjoyment out of it.
Nice.
So anyway, that's something that we enjoy, just to create that environment of it's okay to sit and linger. It's okay to just kind of let your guard down. And we also try to make it comforting for solo diners to join us, because there are so few places where solo diners can feel comfortable, especially women. And we welcome them, to come and have a seat at the bar where they can be engaged in conversation with the bartender, or we will introduce them to other of our guests, because we've been there long enough that we have established relationships with a wide variety of people, and we can kind of make friendships. Just like, oh, you need to meet this person. You need to meet that person. And with new people coming into the community, I think you've experienced this in our place too, is that when you have a variety of tables in a small area, you can talk across tables.
Right. Yeah.
And you see friends you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
Or conversations strike up, and you can actually kind of join the conversation. So there's all kinds of dynamics that happen in a place like that. It's definitely a gathering place. It's not just about food, and I sometimes I think the food is just superfluous. It's just extra.
Yeah.
But it's that welcoming environment, and it's pretty special.
It is. It's just such a gem, and we love promoting the restaurant. And thank you to the both of you for providing that atmosphere and that experience. So with that, along the way, throughout these 125 years, or even the past several years that you have owned the restaurant, what are some of those challenges? What have been some of the biggest hurdles that you have encountered since you've had the restaurant?
I'll just throw in a few. So one of the first challenges that we encountered was just being introduced into the community as new owners of an iconic restaurant.
Sure.
And so developing those relationships and seeing how those early relationships have developed and grown over these years, and help sustain us through the rock bottom of the pandemic, and with the encouragement that we've received and the ongoing support. all of that is testament to the early days of getting connected into the community and making those friendships. That being said, old building.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Old building, so there's always something that's happening. Maintenance, electrical issues. I mean, just all kinds of things that you think you're just getting the handle on things, and then something else just kind of comes along.
Oh man,
like, dang. So that's been kind of a challenge because you just don't know what's coming out of left field. We do also have we have ghosts, but that's not a negative.
Okay, all right.
Very much.
It's very much a positive.
It's a wonderful feeling. But you can tell that there's a lot of history that's still living in our environment.
Literally, huh?
Literally. I have been spoken to. Some of our staff has been spoken to, all in a nice way. It's very pleasant. Some of the other challenges, going back to the pandemic and in the aftermath of, so to speak, is the fact that, as every business owner knows, is personnel. Having enough staff to maintain quality service.
Sure.
We have been so blessed with young people, but older employees as well, so blessed with people that have dedicated themselves and said, even during the pandemic, we were brought a schedule that our employees had generated, knowing we had limited hours. They brought it to us and said, we've divided all the hours up amongst ourselves so everybody gets an equal share of the limited hours. Is this okay with you?
Wow. That's
special.
That's That's
very special.
Teamwork too.
So we always need more, but the ones we have and have had, because some have gone off to college, as they should.
Yeah.
We encourage them to promote them to, address their future and move on. But we have been very blessed to have as the people that we have currently. So can't say enough good about them.
Nice. And a lot of accomplishments over the years as well. What would you say is the feather in your cap? What is the, it's like, oh, this is something that we've really overcome. This is a great accomplishment.
The doors are still open.
Yes. Doors are still open. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm being somewhat facetious.
But that is huge.
Yeah,
that is huge because
a lot of them didn't survive.
Especially older properties, older businesses. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but they're, I think it was like over 100,000 independent restaurants did not make it through the pandemic, did not make it through the last 3 years. And the fact that we did is pretty much a miracle. I feel like that's just the grace of God that allowed us to do that, because there were so many moments during that time period that didn't know how we were going to pay the bills, but the money was always there when we needed to write the big checks. So there's no explanation. No explanation. So we're very grateful for that. Boy, I just got off on a tangent and I just kind of wanted to sit there for a moment. Just very grateful for that.
Yeah.
And the staffing issues that I think there's that just kind of ebb and flows through any business and any economic cycle, so social turmoil, whatever. But there are some interesting dynamics with labor, at this time, for a lot of various reasons. But I think we're doing a pretty good job with who we have, and we are always looking for additional people.
Yes.
But we do have a solid crew. And as a matter of fact, we have enough solid crew to be able to expand our hours beginning next week into the summer. So we'll be opening Wednesday through Sunday.
Okay.
So this will be a good summer. We're really looking forward to that.
What are your hours Wednesday through Sunday?
Right now it is 5 to 9. We will be expanding that once we get into the middle of June when students are out.
Okay.
And we'll be expanding that from 4 to 10.
Nice.
And when we say 10 o'clock, that just means that we stop serving food. That doesn't mean you have to, we're going to chase anyone out the door.
Yeah.
We quite, in all honesty, enjoy the company when things start to slow down and can relax a little bit because I was going to say earlier, our customers are also the reason why we've survived. And without their support, their generosity to our help, we wouldn't have survived. I achieved a record last summer. A gentleman said he was commenting on the Coke cooler that is behind our bar.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that the age of that, I've looked up the serial number because I did some repair work on it. But he remembers when that was out on our front porch, and he said, I used to get Cokes out of there. I started coming here when I was 12 years old.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
I said, sir, may I ask how old you are today? He says, I'm 92.
Wow.
So this man had been coming to our restaurant for 80 years.
Wow.
That's quite a record for
That
us.
is, yeah.
And I can't count how many people have come in that are in their 60s that say, I used to work here.
Oh, yeah.
I used to work in the kitchen, or I bust tables.
Right,
or,
right.
Just multiple people.
And both locals and tourists, right? So,
Yes.
you have kind of two hats or two different pools of customer, those that come on a regular basis and are locals, or come once in a while that are locals, but also the tourists and visitors that come from out of town and make this a staple stop, for them, and maybe first timers too. You probably see it across the board.
Every day we have first timers.
Yes.
Okay.
Which
We
is
are very
amazing.
much expanding our reach.
Nice.
Correct. Almost every
Nice.
weekend, someone is saying, we've heard about your place and we've fallen in love with it, and we'll be back with our friends.
See, I
That's
love that.
a wonderful
Yeah.
compliment.
Yeah, that is.
It really is.
So, Eric, you have a pretty heavy presence behind the bar. And I know,
Just
those.
tall.
No, but you have a passion behind there. And I don't know what they call those individuals that are into the different various
Mixologists.
Mixologists. Yes.
Or mad scientist, but
Okay.
I call it my adult chemistry set. But,
Oh, I love that. That's great.
yes, this is not something that comes from my past.
Okay.
It's just I'm always learning about something. My career in the past, I had to do that or I wouldn't survive. I had to learn very quickly. So I'm always studying something. And so basically what I've done is I've studied spirit profiles. And so everything that I've put behind the bar is with the intention of marrying those profiles.
Oh.
And then I can create from one to the next to the next. And then what I've done is I've just recently, added a summer menu to this. But everyone that works behind the bar has to follow that formula.
Okay.
Because if I make something that someone very much enjoys and they say, I'd love to have another, or I'd like my spouse to try this one, I'd like you to make another one. If I'm not there, I want to make sure that formula is followed and done exactly the way that I created it. So I basically create a Bible, if you will.
Okay,
a recipe book that all the bartenders follow. And
What's your favorite thing to mix?
that I've been asked that question often, and I can't pin down one.
Okay.
Now, I do have one that I personally enjoy, which is actually quite simple, but everything behind the bar, as my wife had previously said, We squeeze our own juices. I won't buy bottled mixers. They're just chemicals with some sugar added, so I won't use them. We squeeze lemons, limes, whatever we happen to need. But my wife also makes fresh thyme syrup, and we make our simple syrup, and she makes my cocktail onions. I could not find a good cocktail onion.
Yes.
And so my wife said, Trish said, I'll make you some. Well, I just thought you went and got them off a cocktail onion tree somewhere. I didn't know that you could actually make those. So I use the brine that she creates, and she creates that brine to marinate and pickle, basically, these cocktail onions. I use this in a cocktail with a Polish vodka called Zabrowka, and it's a bison grass vodka. It's made from a prairie grass in Europe, and it's a very old product. But then I use that brine, and I use just a hint of dry vermouth in that as a martini, and it comes together with a very unique flavor that I don't know where it comes from, because it shouldn't taste like that. But it is a wonderful, fresh, clean, almost a hint of coconut flavor to it. And it's the chemistry that's making this happen.
Wow.
So I've had someone say, I really don't care for onions. Please don't put that in there. I'm willing to try the drink. And then I've said, will you just trust me?
Yeah.
And they changed their mind. So I have a reputation of basically changing people's mind about their perception of what they think something tastes like. I had to learn that if I didn't like something, it's probably just the wrong one. So I taught myself to experiment. And so I have gins that are amazing, and some people say they hate gin because they had a bad experience with it. And it was bad gin.
Sure.
Or tequilas or ryes. I have men that love bourbons, but I don't like rye. I won't touch rye. Can I change your mind? And I have a lot of converts.
Nice.
Which I enjoy, because
Sure.
I really want everyone to have that experience of something new, something they've never tried before. I have customers now that will come in and just say, Eric, make me something.
Oh, yeah.
They don't care
fun.
what it is. They know they're going to enjoy it.
Right.
And quite frankly, if they don't, most often I will say, then that's on me. Because if I talk to you into something and you don't care for it, that's my fault.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
So I don't charge for it.
Sure.
I want you to enjoy it. I want you to enjoy the experience, the flavor profiles.
Yeah,
That's what it's all about.
Trish, what's your favorite thing on the menu?
Oh, boy.
That's a tough call.
Food menu or cocktail menu? Well, I guess one of my go-tos actually is our wedge salad.
Oh, yeah.
And I really enjoy that with a steak
Okay.
alongside that.
Nice.
Super delicious. We are working with a chef right now who is helping us to create some really tasty featured items, and we've introduced some new products. And one of the new items is a creme brulee.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that sounds
super delicious.
lovely.
That's really, really great. But we are known for our perch and the walleye, London broil. Those are those staples that have been around for decades that I had mentioned earlier that we just cannot change the ingredients for.
Sure.
Just cannot change that. So
no
those are
reason
what those are what we are known for, and those are what people come back for every summer when they are here for their cottage week or when they're visiting. And also the locals are all about that.
Nice.
So those are the top three that we are known for. And I actually love our grilled salmon. And I think that's probably my favorite,
Nice.
the grilled salmon. Now, as far as cocktails are concerned, I don't know. There's just way too many choices.
There are, yeah.
There's just way too many choices.
Yeah.
But I think for the cocktails, though, I'm still a fan of the Stargazer.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
all right.
gin, lemon juice, Prosecco.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Actually, an Irish gin
Oh.
with
Yes,
Sardinian
that's the one I
citrus.
prefer.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It's a very unique gin.
Well, hey, as we wrap up, Any parting thoughts for our listeners today? Anything that you would like just to put out there or share?
Sure. I just want to, I just want to say that, we've been around, the restaurant's been around, it will be 125 years next year.
Okay.
So we are going to be taking the entire year and just celebrating. It's not going to be one
excellent.
specific event because we think that the old girl needs and deserves more than just a one-night party.
Sure.
So all year long, we're going to be honoring her, and we're going to be honoring the history and doing a variety of things that we're still planning out.
Okay.
But that's something that we are really looking forward to.
Excellent. So stay tuned. in
Stay
other words.
tuned.
Yeah.
Yes,
Very
stay
good.
tuned.
And if I could, one last thing that I want people to be aware of, that when you do come and spend your time with us, which we truly appreciate because we are a destination, you have to make an effort to join us. I kind of like the fact that we are a place where you unplug. So we do not have internet service for our guests, and that is by design because I want your children to have to speak to you over dinner. I want people to feel that they can unplug and unwind and enjoy the fact that they are immersing themselves in that history. And I'm a big supporter and fan of technology, but everybody needs a break.
Yeah.
So we're a great place to come and just take that break.
Great message. I love it. Yeah.
Very true.
Well, thank you once again for sharing with us. For our listeners, as a reference for further information regarding Old Channel Inn, be sure to check out their Facebook page, as their social media posts are on a regular basis, just informing those that are looking what their restaurant is all about. So once again, your address to the Old Channel Inn?
We are located at 6905 North Old Channel Trail, Montague, Michigan.
All right. Be sure to check it out, and wishing you a great season ahead. I know you have a lot of work ahead of you. Your passion is admirable, and I thank you for that. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.